Rolling.
There we are.
Oh, hello. Is everybody here? We're all here. We're all in our little boxes.
Yeah.
Where we all love to be. Oh, dear. Hi, Jan. Quick off the mark. Well done, Jan. So welcome everybody. If anyone's joining us today, we're talking about synchronicity. So I'll just leave it a minute and just do a little ramble while people decide to come on and find us. Hi, Rachel. Hope you're all well. It's a bit of a mixed day today, isn't it? With the weather. My poor seedlings have been battered by the weather. Oh dear. If you're going to join us as well for the first time this evening, it'd be lovely to have you. And as synchronicity is, if you're just tuned in and didn't know we were here, it's synchronicity in motion. All right. So if you're watching, please put a comment on there. Just let us know that you're with us, because this is an interactive evening where we like to take any experiences that you have or any questions. And between the four of us, we will try and answer your questions if we can. So welcome again. I'm just going to do the rounds with everybody, just in case you haven't met anybody. Hi, Gill. We have the lovely Chris Gill. Give a wave, Chris.
Hiya.
The lovely Frank White. And the beautiful Donna Clements.
Hey.
Hey.
Thanks. That was nice.
Come on, Frank. Oh, dear. So what I'm going to do is just leave everybody as a little introduction, just in case. We're getting down this quite quickly now. With it's just like, hi, I'm Stacey, I'm medium. There we go. So that we're not eating in too much. So go on, Chris. You go off first.
Okay. My name is Chris Gill. I'm obviously on the committee at Thundersley Church and have been for some years now. But I moved. I used to live in Hadley, and I've moved to Clacton. So I'm a seaside girl now, and retired. I'm a grandmother and I've got grandchildren, 8 grandchildren. So yeah, busy, even though I'm not working any longer. That's me.
Lovely. 8 grandchildren and skint, no doubt.
Yeah,
especially at Christmas.
Yeah. Really poor. It's never ending, is it? You pay out for the kids and then you pay out for the grandchildren as well. So.
Frank, would you like to do your introduction?
Yeah. Good evening. I'm Frank. I'm one of the committee at Thundersley. I chair the service from time to time, and just generally make myself useful, do whatever is needed for the church, a place I love to be. Lovely place with lovely people, and I enjoy every moment I'm there. Next.
Donna.
If you don't know me by now, you're a newbie. Right, so yes, I'm Donna, and also on the committee at Thundersley, of course. And let me say, I'm mum to 4 beautiful children. I don't have grandchildren yet, but it could happen. My nan was a grandmother at 34, so it can happen. I have passed that, thank goodness. I love Kylie Minogue. I love Take That, and yeah, interesting facts. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Wow, Gill.
I know.
26 grandchildren.
26 grandchildren.
Goodness,
whoa.
That's poor. She must be really poor. Oh, 7 great grandchildren. Congratulations. You must be really, really busy.
Yeah. And welcome, Lawrence, and synchronicity, my darling. We were just talking about you, because after your lovely chat the other evening, I was saying about sort of getting to work in different areas. So that's good. So anyway, as you know, I'm Stacey Frost.
Yes, Lawrence. So message Stacey. Stacey loves to talk on things. So you need to
no.
No, definitely.
So as you know, I'm Stacey Frost. I'm also a committee member at Thundersley, and I'm a spiritualist medium. I also do past self regression. I have 4 children, all apart from one who's nearly on the adult 18 level. And they all surpassed me in height now. I'm now officially the shortest person in the house. I'm an Ancient Aliens fan. I don't know if I should tell you that. I love all classical history and all those sort of lovely random things. So yeah, I mean we're a good team here as well. So it's nice to get to know a little bit about all of us, you know. And but again, the evening is about synchronicity tonight. So what is synchronicity? Well, really, it's about the flow of things, isn't it? When you're in synchronicity with someone, it's about how you flow together, how the energy flows together. So it's sort of, it's like a nice melding or stream, you know. And I think when we are in harmony, when our life is in harmony, things seem to happen. It goes with the flow. But when we're out of balance and things, that's when it's we sort of have a lot of difficulty. Now, you might find mostly in life, I think, we've all had it, I think, and you probably have been calling it coincidence, a lot of you, for a long time. We don't believe in coincidence because we think the universe is such a, I think it's like a machine of energy. It knows what you need, it knows what you want, and when you put those thoughts out, it comes to you. The problem is when you are a bit not quite sure what you want, and then, like we all do, a bit indecisive. Sometimes I really like that. And then it starts to come in and then you change your mind. It's like, it goes the other way. All right. But when you're in a place where you put out your thoughts to, say, spirit or the universe, if, say, for example, just it's like a random example, a few years ago, I was thinking about going to a Zumba class. I thought I'd really like to go to there. Then I bumped into my neighbour the next day and she said, oh, I've been doing a Zumba class for 3 years. That is synchronicity. It doesn't have to be all drums and whistles. It can sometimes be subtle things in life, and you just think, well, you've put out a thought to somebody and they've rung you, or you've sort of, and if you noticed when you're pregnant, I know you might not have, Frank, when you're pregnant, everyone else seems to be pregnant, or you buy a certain type of car and everybody seems to be driving it, or you notice it. Or you have a name and then you see things with lorries going past their names on. So it's all those little random things. But what I think they're just to make you realise that you're on the right path, that you're going the right way. So has anybody else, come on my lovely panel, anybody else had something significant like with a synchronicity moment?
Yeah, I'll start because I thought of something earlier that it take you back about, where are we now? Probably over 30 years, I decided to take a flight to see a friend in it was a long haul flight, a really long distance away, and I travelled on my own, and I was really quite nervous. So I decided to go fly Virgin so that I didn't have to stop off anywhere and you know, have trouble with airports and all that. I just flew directly there, and my friend was there to meet me. Anyway, on the way coming back, I got on a seat. It was an Airbus, so I think there's about 350 seats on an Airbus, and I took my seat, my number seat, and I sat down, and I thought, oh, do you know what? I was feeling quite nervous about the journey home. You know, it was about 13 hours, so it was quite a long haul. And a gentleman came and sat next to me in the chair and just went off to sleep. So I thought, oh, that's great. You know, I could do with sort of having a chat with somebody, because it's a long time to just sort of sit there and mull everything over, what's happened, and etc. etc. Anyway, after we were flying for a little while, you know, they come around with meals, and obviously the guy woke up and wanted something to eat. So he started this conversation by saying to me, you know, have you been on holiday, or do you live here, etc. etc. So I said, no, I've been on holiday, but I've been visiting a friend. And we sort of chatted, and I said to him, what do you do? So I said, do you live in this place? And he said, yes, I do. I live here. He said, I teach at an international school. So I said, oh, my friends' children go to an international school. So he said, oh, what's their names? So I told him what their names were. And do you know what he said? They're my babysitters.
No.
Goodness,
not only did he know my friend, but two of her children, she had twins, 2 girls. Well, she had 4 girls altogether, but 2 of them were twins. And those 2 girls were her babysitters, were their babysitters. Now, how many Airbuses fly in and out of this country? How many days a week? 350 seats on a plane. And there I am sitting next to the guy that knows my friend. and the children were his babysitters. I mean, is that not, you know, there's no such thing as a coincidence. I mean, synchronicity, I wanted somebody to talk to, and it was somebody that was obviously knew about my friend and about her family and everything. So I felt really at home. It was like just meeting a friend, another friend.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
You could have had the most boring person imaginable who talks about something you haven't got a clue about, couldn't you? You know.
You're stuck with them for like 13 hours, you know, if they're a bit weird or a bit wonderful or a bit different, you know, 13 hours on a flight, you know. But this was a guy that, you know, was a teacher of my friend's children. How weird is that?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So you're in the right place at the right time, obviously.
Yeah. It's weird because when I'm like, obviously, you know, Ian, my husband, but it's really weird because, you know, on a more personal note with synchronicity, how it can work, and maybe it's a bit more serendipity, I think, rather than synchronicity. But when I broke up from my eldest son's father, and I used to be in like a little block of flats, and although I was living there with him originally when I had Mitchell, but I used to sort of like, it wasn't a good time, put it that way. I won't go into it, but it wasn't a good time. But anyway, many years later, I ended up going back to Enfield, the area that I'd lived with Mitchell in, and I bumped into this lady who is was, bless her, Ian's mum, and I didn't know her, but she knew me, and she said, I used to live above you in that block. Like, remember, this is quite a long, this is about sort of like 13 or 14 years later. And she said, we used to call you the poor little cow downstairs because she's always been shouted at, right? But Ian lived there for a little while, but I didn't know because at that time, the synchronicity wouldn't have been right. We wouldn't have been able to be right together. Yeah, and we sort of met later on. But it's weird because we both had a deja vu experience as well, which is a talk for another time, at the same place, weirdly enough. So it's just right how you sort of, if you're meant to meet somebody, it will be when the time is right. So don't give up, people. It can happen, you know, but I wouldn't have known because I didn't know her at that time. But obviously she knew me because obviously they were all older in the block. So being sort of the baby and that, I wouldn't have sort of chatted to them as much. But yeah, so she knew me. So it's more of a personal thing. But it is quite weird how that comes out, isn't it?
I'll tell you something personal about me. Because I was married before, so when I got divorced, I had 3 children, and I got divorced, and then I met my second husband, and he was divorced. He was married before, so I have 3 sons. He has 3 sons. My name is Christine Ann Gill, and his first wife was called Christine Ann Gill.
Oh my goodness!
And we lived in the same area, except I was in short white ankle socks and he was riding motorbikes. So he knows all my ex-family, if you like. He knows all of them, and they were on first name terms. They lived in the same road. So he'd kind of been around me all the time I was growing up. He was around, but as I say, I was at school. He's a few years older than me, but I was at school, and he was riding in motorbikes. But yeah, how weird is that?
Yeah.
So you know,
wow.
I think you just married the wrong woman. That's, you know, the same name, but the wrong woman.
Well, no, you're working out karma. That's what I say. We have a karmic debt to pay. That's why I'm husband number 3 because I'm working it out before I get to do it again. I don't want any more loose ends.
3rd time lucky, Stove.
I was to say that's
Yeah,
it, you know, we've been 25 years we've been married this year, so you know, I said he found the right one at the end. But it's funny that we had 3 sons. I had 3 sons and he had 3 sons as well. So yeah, weird. But yeah,
it's weird because Beryl, like Ian's mum, because I was friends with her first before I met Ian, and her husband was 9 years older than her. Ian is 9 years older than me. She had 3 boys and a girl, and I've got 3 boys and a girl.
Yeah.
It's just weird, isn't it? But Frank, how about you?
Well, I've got to be honest. For a long, long time, I couldn't really understand what synchronicity was. It didn't seem to click with me, and I kept thinking, well, everyone talks about this, but I don't really know what they're talking about. And to some extent, I'm still a bit like that. I still have to think, what does it mean? So I don't know. I can't think of times when something like that has happened. But I suppose it must have done. I suppose there must have been times.
Frank.
Excuse me. The only thing I can think of is my granddaughter has got herself a new boyfriend, and it seems quite serious. And we've always said in the family about, unfortunately, the family name will not carry on because she's the only descendant, and there are no male descendants. And then I'm talking to Claire, Devin's mum, the other day, and she said about, he seems a nice fella, and one thing and another, and he treats her well, and this sort of thing. And then she said to me, and something you might find interesting, she said, should it carry on and get something, become something and last, his name is the same as ours. He's white. So she said, consider what you've always said, the family name could carry on. So
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Nearest I got to it. I mean, I might go there this week, and she says, that's all over that. You don't you don't know.
I think we know that if it's meant to be.
I suppose apart from that, the nearest I came to it was when I first wanted to find out more about spirit, because mates had passed for a while, and I was getting signs, and I felt she was coming to me, and I thought I need to be with people who know more about this and can give me the answers to what this is all about. And I always say this, and I'm not ashamed of the fact I say it. I remember sitting there and think to myself, I'm not paying some medium £100 to tell me what I already know. Because we all see these adverts for £100 for a reading, don't we, on Facebook? So I thought, so where do I go? And I thought, well, I need to find a spiritualist church. And I thought, so what one do I go to? And then it suddenly dawned on me, well, there is only one, and that's the one my grandmother served as a medium probably 60 years ago. And so I came down Bread and Cheese Hill. So,
and you haven't looked back, Frank. You haven't looked back.
No, I haven't.
I just want to stop
you on here.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say good evening to Colin, James, Benita, Michelle, and Val. Welcome. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, my darling. I just thought as we've got some new names.
Guys.
All right. So Donna, what about you?
Lovely. Interacting with the audience. She's a professional. Yeah, I like all of those stories. I too have had to think, right, okay. I know that when it's a really big life event, when we have certain things that we need to do in this life, you can't avoid the situation. It's almost like the path is being paved in front of you, and it's really easy. Oh, bye, Laurie. Have a good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Remember to call Stacey.
They no.
Yeah, so those big life events, it's like when they all of a sudden you feel drawn, and it's like a flow, like you were talking about in the beginning, Stacey. But I haven't had any of those big events that I think, I've been kind of guided and helped along my path in that way. But there have been like some really funny coincidences, synchronicities, that happen, and it proves to me it's all one thing, really, isn't it? It's like it proves to me that as human beings, we're all connected on that energy. We feel, and that energy moves between us, and the world as well, and nature, and also our future and our past and stuff all comes in. Hi, Vicky. Actually, Vicky is part of my story, so listen to this, Vicky. I may have explained it in a message.
The right moment to.
Oh, she did. That was synchronized. That was synchronicity right there. Oh, how wonderful is that? But so we are all connected, and I think that's the whole idea of this synchronicity. Like our energies mix and blend and meet, and we kind of go into that kind of flow together. I was talking to Stacey. I was talking to our Stacey here about artwork in the church, actually, because Stacey didn't mention there that she is a very good artist. So Stacey was doing a picture for the church for us, and we were talking about it. And I myself had a dabble of doing a bit of painting and producing a few pieces years ago, and I haven't done it for ages. So I was talking about how I'd made this angel, and I wanted the wings to be like a 3D. Yep, Vicky knows where this is going. I wanted the wings to be like a 3D effect, but I didn't know how to do that. And I'd seen some beautiful paintings that had been done, but I didn't really know what do I use to make that. The paint doesn't do it; it's not thick enough. So I thought of like papier-mâché type thing. But then I had a brainwave. I thought, oh, what a great idea. I know, I'll use like, like paste, polyfiller type paste, and I'll make the shapes on the wings like that. And I was telling Stacey about this, and I said, and I've always wondered, because I sold that piece to one of my friends, Vicky, and I've always wondered whether it cracked and crumbled, whether the wings are still on the piece. And it was really weird, because literally within 24 hours, Vicky said, still think of you, and sent me a picture of this painting on her wall into my inbox. And I was like, well, that answers the question then. They're fine. But what happened? What is that? That's like when we think of someone, when their energy then comes into ours and blends, and that those messages kind of go back out. And then a sense of my energy goes into her energy, and then she thinks about me and reaches out. And how often do we all do that? We think of someone, and then all of a sudden, we haven't spoken to them for ages, there they are ringing on our phone or sending us a message. We are all one. The whole universe is one.
It's all connected.
And it is amazing.
It's like a web, isn't it? It's like a web.
Yeah.
That Colin, there was a message came up from Colin. He said when he had his fall, unfortunately he fell and really hurt himself, didn't he? But a friend knew something was telling her to come and check on him. She just had that feeling that she needed to contact him, and she came around. Colin put that notice up, and she came round, and he was at the bottom of the stairs, and she found the ambulance for him. So there was a connection there, because she had no idea, but Colin said, look, that she probably saved his life. How amazing is that?
It's because carry on. Sorry, Chris.
I say it's amazing that sometimes, we just get this feeling. I never used to take any notice of it years ago, before we we're always developing, we're always learning things. I never ever stopped learning. And, you used to get that feeling, I must ring somebody. I'm not a great one for telephones. Things happened with telephones, but anyway, and I'd get this feeling that I needed to contact somebody. But now I know that if I get that feeling to contact somebody, there's a reason for it. So I have to ring. I have to make that contact. And quite often it is because something's happened, something's gone wrong. You kind of, like Donna said, it's like we're all connected. There's this web between all of us, and it's almost as if like a thought process. Feelings. I mean, I'm a very sensitive person in that I pick up energies around. If the energy's not right, I feel it. I really feel it. So I kind of know if there's something wrong with one of my children. I know, or if the grandkids are sick, I know. Before I even pick up the phone, I know. So yeah, it's amazing.
It's like those vibrations. What you're saying about like a sort of web, it is like a spider's web in a way. So if you think how a spider can feel the vibrations of something even very small from a different and the way they sort of make their web, it's sort of, they can feel it under their feet. In a way, it's like we've got a cosmic, because everything's repeated in pattern anyway, isn't it? If you sort of think about sort of the eye, how it looks like different systems and things, everything seems to be, there's that sort of repetitive pattern of connection as well. But I think it's sort of like we think in terms sometimes of when we think synchronicity or something in small terms, but actually I think if you even look at how we are placed in the solar system, the synchronicity of having, or the coincidence of having that the sun is exactly the right place, that we get the temperature we can live on, that the moon is exactly in the right place, that we have a full eclipse, that we have, that the right type of based foods. So it goes on so many levels, from the tiniest to the biggest, and I think we can, when we start to notice synchronicity, because I don't know if any of you have ever read the Celestine Prophecies, and if you can get hold or read one of those, they're really good. It's about sort of these prophecies that are meant to be found. They're sort of like hidden scrolls, and each one has like a learning experience for like enlightenment and sort of development of soul growth. But the first one is about synchronicity. It's about, as soon as you start to have that in your mind, you start to register synchronistic moments, and the more you register, the more you see. Has anybody else had any moments that they've like synchronicity? I know someone said about
I just sat here. I lied really when I said I've never had anything like that, because I suddenly thought of it, something that did happen. Must be a couple of years back, perhaps. I've for quite a lot of years belonged to a group in not a musical group in East London, where my grandparents lived, and I spent quite a lot of time there as a child. So I joined this reunion group up there, and we meet about twice a year for a reunion, for lunch and an afternoon in the pub, and it usually develops into discussions and music and a bit of dancing, that sort of thing. And I met a lady there, and I literally just got introduced and met her, just because someone thought, well, you're in this group, you should know who she is. And I never thought any more of it after that. And then some while after that, she came through to me on Facebook and asked to be accepted as a friend. Well, we all know you get hundreds of these, and some you haven't got a clue who they are. So I thought, oh yeah, I do know that. So I accepted her. And I get perhaps one message in 3 months from her. She's not that active. And then one day I got a notification come up, and it said, you have a mutual friend. And I thought, really? I looked it up, and it said the connection was with this lady, whose name's Tracy. And I thought, well, who is this thing? Must be someone I know in Manor Park, East London, who belongs to the reunion group. So I looked this name up, and I was so surprised, because this fella, Chris and I go to Baltham to Healing Hearts, to a spiritual evening, don't we, Chris?
Yes, we
and
do.
This name that came up was Colin, who chairs it. And I thought, how can Colin possibly know Tracy? And even if he does, how can he be connected through to me somehow? So when I was at Baltham, I said to Colin, you don't mind me asking, Colin, you don't have to tell me, how do you know Tracy? And he said, she's my partner's mother. And I thought, I must admit at the time, I thought, that's weird. But, a chance in a million of that happening, because we are 3 corners of a triangle, and we're never going to all meet at the same place at the same time, I don't think. So,
I think when we're meant to meet someone, or people talk about their soulmate, And you know, Stacey, same situation, and Chris, sometimes you have to go through one or two to find that soulmate.
Stand up, Liz Taylor.
Or maybe there's nothing wrong in that. Maybe they're our soulmates for that growth and that learning that we needed at that time. So nothing is wrong that we experience, is it? Even the worst relationships, we've learned something from. So it's not that they're wrong. But when we get those times and those relationships where we feel that we're meant to be in, it happens really easily. And these massive coincidences of how you meet, someone introducing you to them, or you might not want to go, but you do go because you've been forced to, but it was the right thing to do. I've been listening to, because we were doing this, I downloaded an audio book called Synchronicity by Joseph Jaworski. I've had to write that down, Joseph Jaworski. And he talks about synchronicity in his own life. So not as a subject on its own, but he talks about his own life experiences and things. And he puts emphasis on those really tiny moments in life where you just get that feeling. And we talk about this being, you know, sometimes we think it's divine intervention and all things like, it's all one of the same thing, really. But those moments, like his second wife, his soulmate, they were passing to opposite areas in an airport, and there was 1 second where their eyes met, and he just knew, as he locked eyes with this woman, he knew that he had to leave his son, his adult son, and potentially miss his flight, to run back to this woman to say, I don't know what this is, but I feel I need to give you my number. And she, you know, she gave the number, because that split second, he just had that feeling that this is something I need to follow up. That was one of those moments. And he said the difference is that he's starting to look into synchronicities, starting to open up maybe some of his spiritual mind. And when you do that, you start to become a little bit more aware. So you start to notice these small things. You notice these coincidences a lot more. And you begin to act on those moments and go with that authentic feeling. And what happens is that you then open up some beautiful things, because you start to listen to the world and where you're meant to be. If that makes sense. I might have gone off on a tangent.
No, it's true. It's true though, isn't it? I mean, my granddad had a similar moment with my nan. Now, my nan, she was in like North London, I think it was in the Archway, and you know, they had the tenement blocks there, all families. They used to live in all the different floors. And my nan, I think, was on the ground floor, and my granddad's family moved upstairs. And my nan was being serenaded with poetry by a bearskin guard in the garden. And my granddad just looked out the window and said to his brother, I'm going to marry her. He did.
Yeah. Synchronicity is numbers as well, isn't it? Or sometimes
it is.
You've got a thought symbols in your head, and then suddenly that record or something that's so similar comes on the radio, and you just think, I was only just thinking about that a minute ago. And then all of a sudden that record's playing. And if you start to see numbers like 111, 222, 333, or number 13, or you see it once, then you notice it all the time, don't you? And they do say these are numbers, angel numbers, aren't they? A series of the same number repeated. And they say 444, is an angelic number. If you see that repeated, that there's meaning behind that as well. So, but I think, like you say, it's being aware. Once you're aware, and then you see these things all the time. They're cropping up all the time. But I think the radio is fantastic for that, because you just have that thought or something's going on in your mind, and then suddenly the radio is like playing a song. You think that's what it's about. It just all of a sudden penny drops, doesn't it?
Yeah,
we manifest it.
Yeah, it's like the algorithms, isn't it, on the computers and things now. If you think they've actually artificially created synchronicity, because when it's like you're scrolling through on your phone, and sometimes I've even just said, oh, I'd like that, And then all of a sudden, the algorithm that they've programmed in listens to your voice or what you've been scrolling, pops up with this thing. But really, that's like the artificial way of actually what we already do, or what the universe does. And so this is, I think, our consciousness, they're trying to replicate it, and I don't think they ever will. They'll get close to it. But we're trying to create things that already are in existence from our own energy. You know, and I mean, it's sort of like, it's weird how sort of sometimes, and like your whole life, sometimes you're thinking, oh, when you look back on it as like a pathway, and you're thinking, well, I've got to this point, and then you look at all the steps that have been taken, and that's happened, so you've met that one, and that's happened, so you can do that, and that's happened, and you've just got this promotion, then you've met that person. It's just a whole web, like you said, Chris, of connection.
A web.
And hello.
And sometimes these things happen for no logical reason and no understanding. I mean, I've got a case, just tell you how it comes about. I've always been a great admirer of Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
And what he's achieved in his life against all odds. And most of you know I'm connected with Whittam Hockey Club, and I was sitting up there one day, and there's a fellow up there. He's dwarf also, and he does a lot of their publicity for them. And I sat talking to him one afternoon, and somebody said to me, "Oh, wait a minute, I've jumped a stage. He's a bit of a joker. He doesn't see dwarfism as a handicap. He sees it as a joke. He will make jokes like, you know, somebody says about, you know, I just needed to get that off the counter, and he says, what counter? And looks up, you know, he'll make jokes like this. And he was talking, so I said, what do you do, Matt, apart from like our publicity? He said, oh, I've done a lot of things. He said, I was an Ewok for a while, so I took this as a joke, because it's a joke you would expect about a person like him. And then I'm sitting there, and somebody else said to me, oh, you've met Matt, have you? So I said, yeah. He tells me he was an Ewok. He said he was. I said, what? He said he co-starred in the film Willow alongside Warwick Davis. And this afternoon, about an hour before we came on, up on the Facebook came the picture of the cast of Willow, and there is Matt standing beside Warwick Davis in this photograph. Now, why did that come up to me this afternoon?
This afternoon,
You know, John, you know, you'd never expect it, would you?
No.
No, it's like
Karina has said that her paths crossed with her husband when she was about 10. So yeah, sometimes we don't, you know, our paths will cross, but then we don't actually meet until later on in life, isn't it? You know, that they come back into your life again. So yeah,
that's right. And I think it is the thing that you might not be ready at a certain point. So it's sort of like it sort of waits till the time is right. So the flow, and I think that's what you've got to be guided in your life with. So it's like you said, Donna, it's all this one and the same thing, whether we call it, sometimes we might call it angelic guidance. You know, if like, for example, you're stuck down the road and somebody comes up with a sort of trolley jack and something to help you, or a truck, you know, or you sort of, you don't feel well and there's a doctor just comes running out from nowhere. These sort of things are all put into place. You can either call it angelic, spiritual, the universe, coincidence. But it's like when we do readings and mediumship, Frank, although you're doing your cards, but your inspiration, your connection comes from the same source as the mediumship that Chris and I do. It comes from the same source that the healing comes from. So when we look at it like that, it's not, just a coincidence. If it's a random thing, this is something that has a higher dimension to it, a higher power to it. So we do all go to the right place at the right time, and I think we know when we're out of sync because we feel uncomfortable. You get those feelings of irritability that sometimes you feel like you're going like one step forward, 3 steps back, because sometimes we don't always listen to it the thing is with synchronicity, like with our guides, with any inspiration and our gut instinct as well, is if we don't listen to it, or our bodies when we get stressed and then they become ill, again, it's all to do with, like, we're not listening maybe to our inner self. And when we listen to our inner self more, those sort of little things like the synchronicity and things, they're there to guide us so that our life is, they want us to be happy in spirit. They do. But it does, but we also have to have testing times. But these little things are here to help us on our way. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So we've got another from Vicky there.
Vicky's
as well.
just shared a story there. That's the connection between her and her nephew. So their feeling, their emotion, their energy is mixed. So on the night that Vicky was really in need, her nephew knew and acted in a way of thinking about her, and he's gone to get the orangutan in the middle of the night to cuddle up to.
Oh,
that's amazing. That reminds me, actually, Vicky, I had a similar situation with my sister. I'm not going to say what had happened that night, because that's private in her life and this is a public forum. But there was an evening where I've seen her for a while. Very close. We were born 4 years apart, but I was born a day after her birthday, so I was her late 4th birthday present. And basically I woke up in the midnight, I just sat bolt upright and I was sobbing in tears. I was sobbing for her, about her, but I didn't know why, crying for her. I knew where my tears were placed, and I found out the next morning that she was really in need that night. So possibly she was crying herself. And that is just amazing, isn't it? We are all so connected. We are not alone ever. The energy, the world, the whole system that we're in makes sure that we're not. Sometimes it feels like we are. And that is very sad. But we've got more stories.
We should be aware of our thoughts. And because what we project, the way we think, the words that we use, that in church we're always talking about a lot of the time about being kind to others, and we, all of us at the church, are always there to listen and to help people, when they come to church, if they've had problems, and we get to know people and listen to them. But as I say, if we have negative thoughts, then I think you draw negativity. If you have positive thoughts and put out those positive thoughts, then you attract positive things. Like I said, it's a web, isn't it? It all travels along together. So you and your sister obviously connected. My sister and I at the time I lived I lived quite a distance away from my sister, and we worked in different areas, and yet we bought the same birthday card for my mother and sent her the same birthday card, even though we were in totally different areas. And I know that my younger sister and myself, we both this year, she lives on Canvey and obviously I'm in Clacton, we sent my other sister the same birthday card. Is
it because you're the same sort of mind, because you're closer? Do you think that your energies are sort of like more compatible, so that you're sort of thinking both on the same thought? Oh, that's what I'm drawn to, and so she's got a similar thought. That's what I'm drawn to.
And yet, both my sisters, we're very different. We're very different people, and yet we were drawn to the same cards. Different occasions, but drawn to the same card. I mean, how many cards are there in the shop? How many cards in, every shop? Loads of shops. I mean, it's not just cards, the card factory or something. There's birthday cards in every sort of shop, supermarkets and everything. And to pick up the same card for the same person at the same time is just,
like the world reminding you of your relationship and being close and sisters. It
just makes you realise how, although we see it's like universal and energy is vast, actually how small we can make it. Because you sort of compact it down, don't you? And like India said about the law of attraction, it's sort of what you give out, your thoughts that you give out you then receive back. The problem is it's very difficult sometimes when it's like the situation at the moment with a lot of people feeling so uncertain that, you know, there's sort of, you know, lots of different things going on in people's minds at the moment. So when you're trying to think positive, sometimes there is that energy that sort of like wants to pull it from you. And it sometimes can be a little bit of a fight to keep that going. But no, I think it's just how we can navigate through sometimes tough times as well. And I think like our ancients, they used to call them like omens. If you think about it, they would have different words for that. So, you know, they'd see sort of like a, you know, a certain type of bird in the sky, so it's going to rain on Wednesday. They know by the seas, the nature. They also use the synchronicity of the planet to know when certain things are going to change, like when the sun gets to a certain peak, when the moon's at a certain, you know, and the solstices. So that's all how they use synchronicity in a different way, and more on a planetary way. Whereas we can sort of say nail it down to fine detail with smaller things. But so it's how we meet our soulmates.
Okay, what you wish for, I think.
I know, It's really weird because when Ian and I got married, we went to Sorrento for our honeymoon, and it's somewhere I'd always wanted to go because I said I love ancient history, so Pompeii, that sort of thing. I said I don't care if we don't do anything all week as long as we go to Pompeii and stuff. But it's really weird because it was sort of like, if I say bless the hotel went to, it's beautiful, but it was a bit like God's waiting room. It was lovely. But we in the morning you'd all have like this big communal breakfast, you know, guys, when we could actually eat together.
Oh yeah.
Remember those days. And anyway, Ian's looking over, and there's a lady at sort of the food bit. He said, I'm sure I know her. So she's looked over at him, he's looked over at her. And it transpires, because they're like Afro-Caribbean sort of community, what they do, all the family and the friends, they all meet at a certain place once a year to get together, whereas the nearest place they can all congregate to. Well, Ian helped her out on, obviously he works for Transport for London. She was a bus driver. And when she was in trouble the year before, he actually helped her and took her home or went to the bus station because she had an accident and she was really upset. And we met this lovely lady when we was on our honeymoon, and she's like from Edmonton, and they just had that week. So it's like sometimes the world is a small place, really, because you know you can be around the corner from someone and never see them for weeks and weeks on end or months on end. You can go thousands of miles away, bump into somebody just at that moment. And it's like even with the church, wasn't it? Like when Frank, you said earlier about you wanted to find like-minded people, and then Thundersley, because obviously you had connections with Thundersley, that it was there. And I said to the same to you before, didn't I, that before the lockdown I was saying I really would love to get sort of more connection with the church, really, that I feel is right for me and the right people. And lo and behold, we're here now. So people do put out those thoughts. It does work. Law of attraction, whatever you call it, cosmic order.
You could say you were thinking you'd like to be with us, and at the same time, we were thinking we'd like to have Stacey here, but neither of us knew the other was thinking it.
Well, you might have been thinking I'd like to have someone. You might not know.
No, it was definitely Stacey. It was definitely Stacey. We had a group chat about it.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? We did.
My ears burning.
I think we said, let's not rush it. Let's wait for the right moment. It was probably quite a while before you got asked.
Well, no, because you have to be sure, and that's the thing with anything, you gut instinct as well, is that sometimes, I know we override it, but when you're not just thinking about one thing, you're talking about a organisation and how things like that can change dynamics of a group. And you know, you've got to get it right. You've got to make sure it feels right and that everyone's going to gel, so it works in a positive way, not in a negative way. And I think we're all quite positive. I like little positive charge batteries.
I suppose in a lot of ways what we're talking about is what used to be referred to as telepathy, you know, which was based on, like, without the use of a telephone line, you put out the thought, you know, I'd like to do this with you, and before you know where you are, the person at the other end contacts you and says, can we do this together? And you think, how did they know that?
Yeah.
You know, you just thought that was telepathy, didn't you? You know.
I think there's greater forces at work, isn't there? Years ago, when I lived in Hadley and I was working in the field of mental health, we had a support team that was put together. It was the first support team that worked with seriously mentally ill people that had just come out from hospital. And there was a charity in Southend that set this up, and they decided they had a group house, a couple of group houses actually in Southend, where people could stay, you know, when they came out of hospital, with assistance, you know, to help them integrate more into the area where they were now living. And I joined this team. There were 7 of us, and I met a lady there called Hazel. Now, Hazel and I, she was slimmer than me and a little bit younger than me, but I always used to think, you know, she was the kind of lady that had legs that went right up to her neck, you know, one of those tall, you could hang anything on her and it looked glamorous. But anyway, Hazel and I became friends. She was actually, she'd done some work before with families and people with mental health. Now, it turns out Hazel and I have the same birthday, although I'm a couple of years, I think I'm about 3 years older than her. But we have the same birthday, and it transpired that I lived as I moved into Rectory Road in Hadley, Hazel just moved out of Rectory Road in Hadley. And the things that we had in common just seemed to grow and grow and grow, and it is absolutely uncanny. I had, just say for instance, I had a gift that was bought for me that came from Japan, and she had exactly the same gift that was bought for her that came from China. And my father passed to spirit when he had a heart attack, and my mum passed to spirit when she had breast cancer, and Hazel's mum and dad passed with exactly the same things. And this is how it went on. And sometimes I would go to work. I did actually have a dress and turned up for work in this particular dress, and she had the same dress. And we would go to work in the same colours. You know, I would wear, say, like, you know, a pair of green trousers or something, and sure enough, she'd turn up in a green top or a pair of green trousers. And it was just uncanny, absolutely uncanny, the things. I mean, we're still very, very close friends, and we do laugh sometimes, because I'll say to her, well, you know, how have you been? And she says, oh, I've been to the dentist. I've had to go to the dentist. I've lost a filling. And she says to me, have you lost a filling? And I'll say, yeah, I've lost a filling. It's that many things. It just goes on and on. The colours of our lounge, the colours of our dressing gown, which wasn't pink. You know, my lounge was peach and green. Her lounge was peach and green. We'd never even been in each other's houses. You know, it's incredible. It's like we're twins. We're linked somewhere. We've got the same things in our lives, or, you know, continuing.
But that's it, isn't it? You don't know. See, obviously, because I do past life regression as well. But sometimes you don't know if she's been in your soul group as a twin at some point in your past life. Because if you look at the way twins have had sort of like sometimes where they've been on different sides of the country, or even if they've been adopted and don't know, but they've found each other and they've both had the same, married the person with the same name, they both broke their arm in an accident skiing or something. So obviously those wires are out there somewhere. And this is the great thing, is that those sorts of things, we can have a mystery to it, but there's also so much sort of scope for just exploring possibilities within this type of framework, isn't there? You know, I mean, if you think about it, even women, if you're in the same household and linked very closely, or you've got good friends, you'll find that certain times of the month you're also linked. So you can synchronise your body. I know.
No one.
Get it all over and done with in one go. We've got women in the house.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Yeah, yeah.
We just as well you're you, Frank, that we know we can talk to you about anything. It's so good.
You
Has
can.
anyone
You
got any
can.
questions at all for us? Because if you've got any questions, because you're putting some lovely stories and things on there as well, like Joan's putting about her daughter and mother-in-law communicated with telepathy.
Yeah.
And it is true, because I think before we had formal language, we must have been able to communicate in other ways. And it might have been with our instincts, with just certain gestures, with our actual energy field itself. And then maybe language is, I think sometimes the way we communicate with our energy is actually far superior.
Yeah.
Because if you walk into a room, you can feel the energy before anybody opens their mouth. Or if you go to somebody and say, you're right, yeah, I'm fine, the words are lying to what the body is saying. So, but if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to put something on there, because we love to have your input as well. Now I've embarrassed Frank.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You'd have to work hard on that one, Stacey.
I know.
It's surprising though how you can get feelings about things, and it's made me think of something. I mean, when I was in learning healing, I'd been away for a couple of weeks on holiday, and I came back, and I came to Healing Circle, and I was paired up with somebody to do healing, and I'm with this lady. You probably, some of you know who she is, and as I went around with the hands healing her, when I got to her stomach, it was almost as though I heard something say, "You're going to need more space than that. Move back." And I moved my hands away. And afterwards, I said to her, "Is there a problem around the waistline?" She said, "In what way?" I said, "Well, when I got there, I felt I was being told to move back. There's more space needed." Donna knows this story. And she said to me, "Do you not know then?" So I said, "No, what?" She said, "I'm pregnant." Now, she told everybody else that while I was on holiday, and I didn't even know. But when I got to her, just below her waist, it was as though she had said to me out loud, "You're going to need a lot more space than that, you know," because I felt my hands were being pushed apart. You know?
It might have been the baby saying, "You need to get back a bit." Because I'm
yeah. Or maybe it was, yeah.
Frank, never say to a woman, never ask that question again. Is there a problem with your waist?
It's when you say, "Are you pregnant?" and they go, "No." Oh dear, that's worse. Anyway, James put, "I've never seeing 1111 or 111 or different 11s like 411. What does that mean, please?" Well, I know 1111 is like a divine angelic number, and funny enough, talking about when picking numbers, because remember the universe as well is also numerological. All energy has a sort of like physics type of chemistry, compound to it with this mathematical. So when I did my third driving test, as a colour therapist as well, I did wear blue, because blue is the colour of being taken seriously. But you can now pick your test times, whereas you couldn't before. So when I did my test, Ian said to me, he said, "Oh, we've got one here on the 11th of August at 11 o'clock. And that's the one I'll be having." Because it's a double 11. And I passed that one. Other people are going, "Oh, but I passed." So with 11s, I think it's about balance as well. With double ones, it's about being on this right pathway. That it's the spiritual number, that everything is going in the right way. So I don't know if, Chris, you know any more about that, the numerology side.
I can't say that I do. I don't know. I know a little bit about numerology, but not an awful lot. But I know that it's recognised if you see 11, 11, or 2 2s, or 3 4s, 4 4s. That it's supposed to be significant, like signs from the angels, really, that that you're on the right path. And the more you see them, the more you know, sort of evidence that, you know, that they're around and they're sort of guiding you and confirming that you're doing the right thing at the right time. So I would just keep on doing it, but just keep observing it. I always think, you know, acknowledge it when you see it, acknowledge it, and you'll see it more. You know, so
it's true.
like having that connection.
So you were influenced by the colour you wore and the time and date you chose when your test. I'd never come across that. I used to be aware that on the day of the test, the girls all often wore shorter skirts than they normally did.
You're quite safe, Frank, from me with that one.
They did. It's surprising how many of them did. You know.
Oh dear. No, it's weird because it's like my best friend from college and I always turned up wearing the same colour tops over the whole 3 years, Karina. Yeah, it's true because if you're really good friends, especially if you're best friends as well, I think what it is you're merging and you're going along that flow together. Something about you has sort of come, like the energy is compatible, if it makes sense. So it's like, even like whether it's people and their personalities, things like that, and then it's like you're then now synchronized, aren't you, into what your choices are, and maybe one of you's influencing the other. Maybe one of you's thinking, oh, I'm going to wear a green top today, and somebody picks up in the head, oh, I'm going to wear a green top today.
See, Chris has put a notice up there. Look, repeating ones are signs to keep a positive mindset. Angelic gateways are opening by a gatekeeper. The positive thinking is key to unlocking the gate. Hope that helps. Thank you, Chris. It does help.
Yeah,
thank you.
good.
Nice, you know, just to get other people's take on this, you know.
Yeah, it is. I mean, things like as well, if you think like the Masonic lodges where they use the degree of 33. So numerology is very big in a lot of, you know, when they did the measurements, you've got the Fibonacci sequence. And things like that with the sort of the divine measurement. So everything has that sort of numerical value of where it's in perspective and how it works. I mean, I'm not a great mathematician, as most of my friends will know. But it's really weird. I can understand quantum physics, the theory of it. I can understand string theory, the theory of it. But if you give me a sum, I'll get it wrong. So the numbers are at my strong point. But the other thing as well, Chris, I don't know if this makes sense to you. When I see numbers, they have a personality for me. It's the weirdest thing. It's like I get like number 3 can be quite serious, but they're still quite held in. Number 6 is like that. Whoa, yeah, I'm just number 6. I'm loose and fly.
Right.
7 is quite straight laced. 8 is like nice and sort of like motherly and that. And it's really weird how. And I've always felt numbers rather than, maybe I should have done my maths like that. But, you know, 1 and 8 makes serious but level-headed number 9.
I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you've seen it, Stacey. Colin's put an interesting question up there you might take.
Do you need to be regressed to see your past lives? Oh, I've just meditated simply through the same person. No, you do not need to be regressed, because I have done. If you want a deeper past life, then it's, you know, with a therapist, that's one thing. If you want to explore 1 or 2 in depth, but it's funny. The actual past life I had when I was in Strasbourg in France, when I was in sort of the Second World War, and was killed in that area. And it's a really long story, I won't go into now because we're not talking about past lives at the moment, but I had that in a dream and it was so vivid, I can recall every detail of it now. But because I have never really been regressed as such, only once, I think, it was in a meditation, and I was a Roman centurion that got cut in the throat, and that's why I've got a scar there, because I have thyroid trouble. And I've now got a scar there and this was before it was taken out, and I was stabbed in the throat. But you can have in meditation, if your mind is on it, remember that it all comes from the same source. So a lot of my past lives have actually been through just sometimes meditation, very spontaneous, because the universe and spirit want you to know what you need now. so that they'll bring lives to you that might make sense to you in this lifetime, or if there's an issue going on, to just bring it to your awareness so you can sort of understand it a little bit more and what's going on in your own mind at the moment. So I hope that helps. You do not need to be regressed, my darling. You seem like you're doing really well on your own. So
everyone.
Synchronicity, we all want to speak at the same time.
And go quiet at the same time.
Exactly,
apparently.
yes.
Yeah.
We're all tuning into each other. That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was going to just say about another little synchronized thing that happened. Thought it was interesting. And Rob said to me, "Oh, you should mention that." We'd just had, Rob kept going on about getting Wi-Fi fitted at the church, and I remember when he was talking about it, thinking, why would anyone want to be connected to their Wi-Fi at the church? Like, we don't want people checking out their phones and stuff in the middle of the service. That's the worst thing in the world. But he just said, I really think we should, and then he got it installed anyway. He got the Wi-Fi installed at the church, and then we went into lockdown. So it was like if we didn't have the Wi-Fi there's no way we could have run the services from the church like we have. And that was then because we've got the Wi-Fi fitted, we could do a live, and then all the things after that. So seemingly this big massive new thing we were going to do, everything just fell into place. People came. The right medium was called. A medium at the time, it was Lainey Bain, the first one. She was really open. Hey, I'll give it a go. Well, let's just go with it and see where we go. Whereas had it been someone maybe that we'd spoken to that wasn't so up for it, we might have stepped back and thought, oh, maybe it's a bad idea then, maybe this is a bad idea. But I think that synchronicity at its real best, when not only little things are happening between you and one other, when this big thing that is meant to be all starts being weaved out and people arrive, you think, how on earth am I going to make that happen? And all of a sudden you look round and someone is coming in, someone that you've probably never even met before, maybe, coming in to help you make that happen. And that's the beauty of those things that are meant to be, and the world helps and works with us. And when we're in that flow, we can make such massive stuff happen. So
it's like, Donna, isn't it? Without the lives that we were doing, you would never have met Lawrence. You might not have. You wouldn't have met other churches, Chris. And that's the thing, is that it's opened up. Whereas we're saying about it can go from the smallest thing to the biggest thing. We've now made contacts and networks with other churches and people from other countries, which is amazing. Because it's on the right vibration as well. The vibration was always out there to help other people, to help connect in this time, because after all, this is what churches and communities should be. That in times of trouble, you don't just jump ship. You're there for those people in your community and the wider section of the community that need you. So without that, we'd never have met all these wonderful people.
No one single one of us could have made that happen. It was a massive, I'm sure it was synchronicity at play. Go on, Frank.
And when I think back that first time we did it, we were all, including Lainey, a bit, well, perhaps it'll work, perhaps it won't. And it did. And we can't keep Lainey away now, can we? She almost camps on the doorstep waiting for a vacancy, and she's done so much else with us as well, hasn't she?
Lots have, and it's been pretty incredible to be a part of not only our journey becoming like, I don't know, it felt like we were just glowing. I felt like the building was glowing there on the hill. There was like a heartbeat vibration emitting from it all through lockdown. And not just that, but also all the individuals that have come in, Stacey becoming part of the committee, you know, Chris, Frank and I being on this. I would never ever have thought I'd do anything live. You know, I'll mess it up. I'll need to re-record it. You know, I can't do it live. But it's just the
and I will never forget the end of that first service. And when the live stream cut, I'll never forget. You just stood there, arms wide open, and said, "We did it!"
Yay!
And, you know, it must have been an incredible feeling, mustn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
And also, it's just taken the work as well, because I was sort of speaking to you earlier, Frank, wasn't I, about sort of like, if I hadn't have been able to do the lives with you and stuff like that, I don't know how I'd be after 18 months of getting back on platform. Because for a lot of mediums as well, it's been really nerve-wracking for them. So we're hoping their confidence, once the church is open, they'll be, you know, able to come back on and work. But it's a long gap, isn't it? Because if you're used to doing a certain thing and maybe you're not comfortable doing the Zoom ones or the you know, the online services, or you can't do it because maybe you haven't got the technology to do it. It's a long time. So that's the same. It's been enabled me to keep working as well all the way through. And even this sort of like sofa chat that we're having, that came out through somebody else asking us to go on there. And I said, wouldn't that be a great idea if we could do that as well? And we really enjoy it, because it just gives us a chance as well for you to comment, because in church we see all your comments, you know, I'd like a reading or thank you, you know, you see all these lovely comments. But it's like Don, I know you've been a face, and Frank, you're the face there, and you're sort of giving all your cards, but you don't get to know people in a different level. And I think we want to know our congregation wherever you are. We like to know it, and to, you know, that's right. And we're planning a very big country.
Think, you know, every one of us has done things we probably never dreamt we'd ever do. I know when I got that phone call that day saying, "Could you read cards online?" I know my reaction was, I've never even spoken on a video, let alone read cards. And 2 or 3 weeks down the line, we lost the link with the medium, didn't we? And I sat for 45 minutes reading cards.
You did so well.
Which I would have never said I could do, you know.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I think we've all done it, haven't we? I know when, you know, living in Clacton, I'm quite a long way, and I'm not a technophobic person. It's always been a bit hit and miss. I dabble with it a bit, but when Donna said, "Oh, you know, Rob can sort it out," bless him. And you know, could I do it from my lounge or from my little room at the back here of our home? I said, well, let's just give it a go. You know, I think that's the thing. I think we at Thundersley, we're all up for supporting each other and having a go at things that perhaps never ever tried before. And I mean, I was just amazed that, you know, Spirit gave me the information that I needed to give to people, and you know, obviously it worked, and we've continued with that. And I think as well, the coffee morning that we do, you know, that's brought people together from different parts of the country, people that we haven't met, that we just see online, and, you know, we can chat to them and discuss certain topics, and, you know, whether it's to do with the church or whether it's to do with life, or, you know, the most something that, you know, a major event that's just happened. And sometimes we just put the worlds to rights, and sometimes we always have a laugh, you know. But that's brought people together, hasn't it? That web again has stretched out to people that have needed it, that have felt isolated and have been going through a really tough time for whatever reason during this lockdown. You know, I think we've been a sense of support for them, which has been great. That's what we wanted to do, and how lovely that some of them want to actually come and see us in person, you know, want to come and visit us.
I think one of the secrets
lovely, Chris,
to our success, one of the secrets to our success is that apart from the fact we've got Rob in the background with the computer, is that we do all support each other. You know, if any one of us said, "Well, I don't know about doing that, what if it goes wrong?" You know, one of us will say, don't worry, if it goes wrong, I'll take over. You know, I'll do it for you. So you're never alone, are you? You're never
Not
standing
only
up
that
there
though,
alone.
we've like been like that with each other, haven't we? But also the people that have joined us, like our congregation, we call them congregation because they are. The people that comment and follow and watch and get involved have all been so supportive and so positive. And so, you know, some days I'll be like this at the end of it. Oh my God, you know, can we even do this again? Like that, you know, I couldn't get the music to work, or it didn't go right, and I always look back,
or the
it's never as
screen
bad
froze.
as I think, or the screen froze and the internet dropped out, and I couldn't load Peter's Bible reading up, but we always had such an influx of kindness and support that it made it feel, because if that had been a little bit off, then maybe we wouldn't have continued. But it's all of those elements that made this happen, and we're still doing bits, and so many other churches are now as well, which is great. But this is a spiritual shift. We talk about that shift has happened all over. There's been like this lift of energy, and I think that it's just been great, and I think you can pull synchronicity in there 100%. So we're still on topic, I think.
Yeah.
It's true though, isn't it? Because as I say, when I said earlier about how you look at where you get to, certain things had to go in place, like the Wi-Fi. This is to this point, but you're quite right, is that at the moment, although there's some, you know, terrible things have happened to people and a lot of worry at the moment, unfortunately in life sometimes you have to have this big scenario because there's a big change coming. Like they said, you can't make an omelette without breaking some eggs. And it is hard for people because when you're in a situation where you don't know what's coming, or it's such a big change of how you live, we feel uncertain, we feel you know, out of our depth. But having this sort of going on, the amount of sort of spiritualist churches, centres, people doing readings online, and I'm really proud to say that I'm part of this community, because when push comes to shove, we're there, and we're hoping that as we go forward, we're seeing more and more people that maybe would never have even thought to looking at our churches or church in general, come and say, I've just come across your site. And we had that before on some of the other talks as well. I had some messages after. I just scrolled through and saw your site, and you're just what I needed to talk about at the time. So you know that in life sometimes, although it doesn't always go the way you want, those things can also be a catalyst in synchronicity for other people's lives. It's not just about your life, it's how you affect other people as well.
I think with this, with the sofa chat and our live services, I think we all come across as just ordinary people. You know, some people would think churchy people are a bit, you know, cliquey or a bit funny or a bit, you know, too
I was just ready to get my crystal ball out.
It's so far removed from the days when church dignitaries were quite stiff and starchy. Churches tend to be ruled by a front bench of old ladies who didn't approve of anything. You know, it was like that. And I can remember when you could go to church for 6 months, and if you were very fortunate, eventually you might get a goodbye from the vicar as you come out the door. It was so much a closed community in many respects. And if you weren't in, like we used to call the inner sanctum, you didn't get asked anything, you know. And we're not like that, you know, we're all equal. I just noticed Vicky's put on here, though. She's put on here, I'm very glad you got the Wi-Fi, because otherwise I would not have been able to stay connected with you after I moved. And that is so true, isn't it? You know, she's what, 400 miles away, isn't she?
Long way.
Up in Yorkshire.
Oh, this is it. It's when I sort of think of how our churches are, and especially our church. I'm only biased because, you know, I am. But it's like the energy that is put out to me is like a rainbow of colours.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what denomination you're from, you know, sort of where you're from, what your beliefs are. You're all welcome in a spiritualist church. There is no oh, you can't come in because you was a Catholic, you can't come in because of this, or you're an atheist. You know, welcome.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what it is about, is that we are, because we're all connected, the way we believe should all be connected. And yeah, everyone's got free will, they don't have to choose, but if you do, we're here. We don't knock on doors, but our doors are open.
Yeah.
I could say.
Yeah, true. It's really so encouraging. The number of people who will say in conversation, it's the first time I've been here, but I knew this is where I was meant to be. And so many people will say that to us at the church, you know. It's nice they feel that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we all say that when we walk in the door. That's kind of how we feel. Like years later, we go, oh, I remember when I went in, I just felt like it was where I was meant to be. But it does have a way of pulling you in. And I think over the last year, with you know, the world allowing the universe helping us to do what we did, no one of us is responsible for that. No one of us can take the glory of that. It was a team effort, and the universe really helped make that happen. I really believe that. So what we've done is we have given our church, it is throbbing with energy, and I think that's why when people are coming in, they're saying, oh, I love the energy in here, because it's pretty astounding. I open the gates, I can feel it as I go in. So I'm excited for the future. Yes, it is. I believe
it's intention, because again, what we were saying earlier about what you put out, you get back. And our intention was to connect people, to help them through this time of transition, because it is a transition, whether you're transitioning to spirit or you're transitioning in your belief system, or, you know, even if it's a job or a move of house, it's still an upheaval in some way, a transition to how you live your life. But if you have the right intention, the universe, it's like the film, isn't it? Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
They will come.
If you show it online, they will come.
Well, I know from a personal point of view, I feel, and I never stop feeling, everything I've put into the church and everything I've done for it, I've got back tenfold. It's done far more for me than I've ever done for it. I know that, you know. And I noticed Vicky's just said, I'll be back to pester you soon. So
we're looking forward to that, Vicky.
We look forward to that, Vicky.
So we've got we're going to be closing the service about sort of 8:30. So if anyone has got any last minute comments or any questions they want to pose to any of us, please do it now before we witter on and just dry up. So please do feel free, because this night as well, when we do our chats, it's about you as well. We like to get to know you and, you know, what your thoughts are, and also, so, you know, we learn from you as well, because we have these sorts of thoughts we talk about, but it's only when you get that information back you realise, wow, all this stuff's going on, and unless you ask, you don't know, do you? So come on, then, I'm going to stay silent. I want a question.
Go on. So I wrote down a little quote of what it meant. So I've got a couple of things of what summaries of what synchronicity is. The one that I liked the most was that it is deeply meaningful coincidences which occur mysteriously in your life. Because it almost feels sometimes magical, like when it's happening, like someone, that whole thing of someone just arriving at that moment when you really need it. You know, when the car's broken down and you look around, there's no one about, and then all of a sudden someone pulls over and they've got like this machine that can just get you going in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I do look at a lot of that, and I call that those moments like guardian angel moments. You know, the angelic realm stepping in. But as I've looked more into synchronicity and what that means, like I say, it is like the same thing, really. But it is that connectiveness that we have with the world and energy and other people.
Yeah. I remember when
one of the things when I looked up synchronicity, I've got it gives us a sense of hope, a sense that something bigger is happening out there, that more than we can see.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I think we can't explain everything, can we? And I think it's nice to not be able to explain
that's what
everything.
it's about, isn't it?
We're not meant to, are we?
No.
It's when something happens, and no matter how hard you try, there is no logic that explains why that happened. If it's only as simple as sitting here and thinking to yourself, I wish I had something to talk to about this, and then the phone rings. Now, that's not because your mum or your dad has said, give him a ring, I think he needs to talk. It's not as simple as that, is it?
No.
It's just somehow, almost magically, at that moment, you knew I needed someone to talk to.
Yeah.
You know?
It's weird because like last weekend we took the caravan out for the first time, and we were sort of sitting outside. And obviously, there's somebody I think was in a tent a few meters down. And I said to Ian in the caravan, I said, wouldn't it be nice just to maybe have a couple or somebody you were friends with at a caravan so you could sort of go out, and have an outing. And as we were sitting in the chairs, the couple from the tent went, you don't mind if we come and join you, do you?
That's mad.
So they had a distance glass of wine.
I hope they had the right intention.
Yeah, but that was it. And then we sort of ended up going for dinner as well. So the thing was, and that was instant. And I think this is the thing, because our energy on the planet and everything is speeding up, because we're coming into the fifth dimension, the fifth paradigm of that energy shift, where we're getting to a faster vibration, because our energy is meant to be changing to sort of more of the age of Aquarius. I think that love and light, that more compassionate awakening of going forward. But everything is speeding up. So whereas beforehand you might have said something and then a week later it's happened. Nice. I don't know if any of you found it's instant now. The minute you think it's sort of coming in, which I quite like in this instant.
We'll have to go away and trial that out.
Yeah,
I can tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, they like you more than me.
Well, parking space. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a touring field on the site where my caravan is, Stacey.
Oh, is that right? Okay, thank you. Oh dear. So
that's a nice one to end on there, Stacey. Look, from Melissa.
Right, I was in A&E in January after having COVID. Oh, bless you. I've been taken the day before to an ex-colleague and mentioned our mutual friend. I was sat there and looked up, and the mutual friend walks past me wearing a mask, recognised each other, literally crossed my path. It gave her and myself comfort knowing each other while we waited together, had X-ray, and it's just so weird. But isn't it weird, though, how you needed that person, and there they were, that instant, out of all the people that could have walked past you. And it is difficult in masks, because sometimes I've gone past people who I haven't recognised, especially where the hair's been growing and people look different now. I haven't seen them. But the fact that you've probably had a soul connection as well, where you've recognised the ex-colleague, because the energy would have recognised it. But how wonderful just that you had that comfort there at that time. So I don't care whether it's synchronicity, angelic, spiritual, your guides, I don't care what you call it. If it helps you, that's all you need.
Brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. Magical.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up to the end now. So I'd like to let everybody say goodbye before we sign off. But thank you so much for joining us this evening. We were down to our lovely Sam as seeing relatives for the first time in a long while. And Alan, bless him, if you could send out some healing thoughts to Alan, because he hasn't been very well, we would be most grateful. But to lovely Chris, give us a wave, Chris.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It's always we never know quite where the where all the information is going to come and how it's going to go. But it's lovely to be able to chat to everybody and see all your comments come up. So I wish you a very good evening and enjoy the rest of the week.
Lovely. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Say good night. God bless. Love you all.
Thanks everybody for joining us. You know, a lot of what's been said and a lot of what has been prompted by what people are saying on here, isn't it? You know, that is good. Join us again next time.
Yes, in a month's time. And God bless you all. Look after yourself. Yeah. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.